The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by Visiting Angels West Springfield, providing home care for seniors and veterans in Hampden County, including Pocket RN, a virtual Medicare-approved dementia care program. visitingangels.com/West Springfield.
Welcome to the Fabulous 413. I'm Khalees Smith.
And I'm Monty Belmonte. Later in the show, a trip to Treehouse Foundation in East Hampton to honor their advances for Foster Care Awareness Month.
But first, a chat with the congressman for the 2nd District, because even though it seems like not much is happening, there's always a lot under the headlines on Capitol Hill.
Did you make it to the Cape on Memorial Day weekend?
We did. We made it for a couple of days, and then spent like 1,000 hours in traffic coming back on Friday. But it was good. It was good to get away.
Yeah, I'm going a week from tomorrow, so I'm looking forward to it. Western Mass takes over Nickerson State Park in Brewster every year at like the same week period, so it's kind of a funny little field trip for the 413.
Good.
Time for our weekly check-in with U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts, Worcester's own Congressman Jim McGovern, in a segment I like to call McGoverning with McGovern. All my Eastern Mass friends even, and people all over the country, were amused by what happened after we spoke on the show last week, when you gave a fiery speech on the floor of the House of Representatives when the Republican Party would not bring up the War Powers resolution that you had hoped to vote for. You accused them of, let's say, lacking the resolve to go forward. Used more colorful language.
Are we not voting on it because the American people are sick and tired of this illegal war that is costing tens of billions of dollars? Gas prices are through the roof. People can't afford their groceries. Is that why you're pulling it? You guys don't have the guts or the balls.
The House will be in order.
Now, supposedly the U.S. and Iran are hashing out a deal while at the same time continuing to trade airstrikes as of this morning. And Israel, who has been the U.S.'s partner in this war in Iran, is continuing to bear down on Lebanon. Will there be another attempt to rein in the war powers for Iran?
Well, we're going to try again next week. But I think the president deliberately does these little press conferences in which he says peace is at hand to try to peel off Republicans from voting with us. We'll see whether that works when we come back in the session next week. But look, this war was supposed to be 2 days, and it's been going on for months. And, we have paid a high price. We have lost service members who have been killed. Many have been wounded. This has cost tens of billions of dollars. It has not been authorized. It is illegal. It is reckless. And Iran is more powerful today than it was before this president started this war of choice.
I was listening to the BBC late last night, and they were putting a paint job on this as if the U.S. had lost this war, that we would be lucky to get to a deal with Iran that was as good as the deal under the Obama administration. Is that your take on what's going on? Have we lost the war in Iran?
Yeah, well, I believe that that's when all is said and done. This was a waste. This was not a victory for the United States. I mean, the president's saying, I want to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Well, it was open before you started this war. Iran is doubling down on not wanting to negotiate on a cap on its nuclear program. It's doubled out even more because of Trump's reckless war of choice. And the people who control Iran are more radical than the people that were there before the war started. So, I mean, how is that a victory? How is that a win for the United States? And what it has done is enhance Iran's kind of stature, if you will, in the world. And Iran is a lousy government, a lousy set of leaders that don't respect human rights and do bad things all over the world. We don't want to empower countries like that. We want to see them move in a very different direction. But this makes it more difficult with what Trump has done.
What about Cuba? Politico is reporting that the Pentagon has the building blocks in place for an imminent Cuban invasion. There seems to be a small armada in the Caribbean, a la the fleet of Navy vessels that were there when we went in and took Maduro from Venezuela. Are we invading Cuba imminently? And what are you hearing about that?
I don't know. We hear those rumors. They indicted Raul Castro, who's 94 years old. Look, our policy toward Cuba is a disaster. It's a relic from the Cold War. I mean, we should lift the embargo. We should establish normal relations with the island. We should stop the blockade of energy from going to the island. I mean, the suffering that is happening right now in Cuba is directly related to our policy. As flawed as the government of Cuba is, the lack of energy to power the island, the hardships, those are direct results of U.S. policy. And I think that that's shameful. I really do. I think what we're doing to the Cuban people is unconscionable. And so the answer is not an invasion. What do you do when you invade? I mean, who do you put in charge of running the island? How does the island run? And when, I mean, and are we responsible for the reconstruction of Cuba? I mean, what's the plan? That's why there should be debates and hearings, because I think if there were, everybody would realize that this is a ridiculous strategy. This is a stupid policy. This is something that does not reflect our values. Again, we should be normalizing relations with Cuba, not starting another war.
I think the concern, too, is, we invaded Venezuela, and now we never hear about Venezuela. We don't know what's going on with Maduro. Even the Citgo sign outside Kenmore Square at Fenway Park is going dark. So is there a beginning of an end game if we were to invade Cuba? Are there any plans in place that you're hearing in any way?
Yeah, no, other than the fact that he's looking for another, military incursion. I mean, that's all we hear. I mean, there's no plan out there. And you talk about Venezuela. What did he achieve? He basically kidnapped Maduro, put Maduro's handpicked vice president in charge. I guess get some oil deal that he's getting money from. But beyond that, I mean, the life of the Venezuelan people has not improved. I still get visits from human rights organizations that tell me that that people who dissent are still put in jail. So what did we accomplish? It's a soundbite that he could put up there. Oh, I got rid of Maduro, but did nothing for the Venezuelan people. I want our policy, whether it's in Venezuela or Cuba or anywhere else in the world, to be a policy that is based on helping uplift people. And Donald Trump just seems to be interested in headlines. And you've said it correctly. I mean, we took this military action in Venezuela, and now you don't even read about Venezuela in the newspaper. I mean, there's no victory there. Basically he just changed the deck chairs, but the government is still the same, and the hardships are still there.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, McGoverning with McGovern. After we spoke last week, the Democratic National Committee released what is being called the autopsy of what went wrong in the 2024 election. There was a lot of drama and a lot of angst, and there was a lot of secrecy. There was fears that it was going to say that Gaza may have sunk the Harris campaign for president. What was actually in it seems to be more benign. Meanwhile, Dr. Jill Biden saying things publicly like she thought President Biden was having a stroke during that first debate with Trump that eventually led to Harris stepping in to run for president. What do you make of the autopsy, and are there lessons for the Democratic Party to be learned from it?
Well, if the First Lady thought that the former president was having a stroke, then she should have told him not to run, and we could have ended it right then and there. I mean, I haven't read the autopsy. I've just read a few articles about it. I think there are a lot of reasons that we didn't prevail. And again, one was the fact that, Kamala Harris didn't really have any time. And two, the Democrats didn't really make a compelling case about how we would really improve people's lives in a meaningful way. And, I think that's still an issue today. I think there is a widespread view that Donald Trump is a disaster, that his policies are a disaster, but there is not a widespread view that we have the answers. And that is one of the things that we need to, focus in on in the coming months, is not just what we're against, but what we're for. I've been at functions where people have said, that healthcare is is an important issue, and they want to know what we're going to do, and they hope we're going to do more than just extend the Affordable Care Act tax credit. They want meaningful change. They want substantive change. They want to make healthcare not only more affordable but more accessible. So they want real answers, and so I think that that one of the things that we should have learned from the last campaign is that it's not enough to be against something; you got to be for something. People looking for bold change, and that's why some Democratic incumbents are having a tough time with primaries this time around, because people really want change, and I understand that.
There's an opinion piece in the New York Times by Michelle Goldberg saying that it's striking, this autopsy, and its utter lack of substance. She says the words Israel and Gaza don't appear once in the 192 pages. There's little insight into why the Democratic Party lost large numbers of Black and Latino men, and that it's full of platitudes saying things like it's imperative that Democrats meet the moment by identifying and preparing the leaders and organizers who will deliver positive change for America. We're in an economic crisis. Gas prices are out of control. Inflation is out of control. You would think that the messaging would be very easy about what the Democratic Party is trying to offer the people of this country. Why is it so hard for the Democrats to come up with a message that resonates? I love going on your social media and seeing Republicans or conservative people's comments on literally everything you post. And, the messages that you're posting there seem very reasonable and about how you're serving your community, and it's not resonating with those people.
And look, at some of the people that are posting are members of the MAGA cult. I mean, they're not even Republicans that can be persuadable. But the bottom line is that the people that I talked to, I did a town hall meeting last night in Grafton. People are frightened about the direction this country is moving in. And they are worried about, kitchen table issues, and they are worried about issues like Gaza, and about, what is our policy in the Middle East. And quite frankly, some people express frustration over the media for not covering the fact that, what's happening in Gaza, still is, a tragic humanitarian crisis, that people are still being killed. The bombing in Lebanon, the mistreatment of people in the West Bank. And I think they're reluctant in some respects to embrace a party that doesn't want to even talk about some of these issues. And I think we have to be candid, and we have to have conversations, even when there's disagreements. I think there's always a lot of frustration when people try to avoid topics. We can disagree on issues, but my view is, if I agree with you on more issues than I disagree with you on, I'm going to vote for you. But to not talk about these things kind of is insulting to the American people, who are very concerned about what's happening here in this country and around the world. People are concerned about the Middle East. They're concerned about the war in Iran. They're worried about another war in Cuba. They're worried about the fact that we have a government that doesn't even use the words human rights in any of our documents or any of our speeches. I mean, we've just walked away from that. And they're worried about the corruption. I'm looking at what happened in Texas. I mean, one of the most corrupt, if not the most corrupt politician in the country, just won the Republican nominee for Senate in Texas. I'm just like, isn't anybody on the conservative side concerned, that corruption is carrying the day in these local and state and federal elections, that the president is embracing people who, quite frankly, should be in jail? And so this upcoming election is probably the most important election of my lifetime, and we got to get it right. And Democrats are going to get their act together. We ought to have a 10-point plan that we present to the American people to say, this is what we are for. This is what we're going to do on health care. This is what we're going to do on the Middle East. This is what we're going to do on human rights. This is what we're going to do on education, on infrastructure, on the environment, right down the list. So some of us are pushing for that, and hopefully in the coming weeks, it'll be clearer to people the direction in which we're moving.
Is that something Hakeem Jeffries, as the House Minority Leader, would be working on, or whose responsibility is that? I mean, we are working on it, and we are working on it. Hakeem is trying to, bringing people together to kind of flesh some of these ideas out. But look, it has to be about more than I like health care, or I think prices need to be lower. People are looking for some specifics because they've heard that line before. And so candor and common sense and frank talk are what people are looking for right now. And they want specifics. So just don't tell me that, you feel my pain. You tell me what you're going to do to alleviate that pain. And I think that's what we're trying to push our leadership, in Washington, to embrace here's what we're going to do the first week or the first month that we are in charge. And so that it's clear to people what they're going to get. And we can't overpromise. Because the bottom line is, I don't know. I feel hopeful that we can win the House, and I feel hopeful that there's a chance we can win the Senate. But even if we win both those things, we still have Donald Trump in the White House. So we have to tell people the truth, that he has veto power. So unless we have super majorities in both the House and the Senate, we're not going to be able to override his vetoes. But there are some things that we can do that can stop the damage he's doing, and even help push off some of the worst things that he's already done, so we can get to the point where we can actually reverse some of the terrible cuts in some of these programs that he's been able to get through.
More coming up with Congressman Jim McGovern as we talk about the successes and failures in the South and Texas of redistricting, developments on H-2A visas and the discrepancies to those present with this administration's stance on immigrants, and the representative's recent visit to Mount Sugarloaf.
After which, we'll explore new ways to build both family and community for Foster Care Awareness Month with the community at the Treehouse Foundation and the community they built there in East Hampton.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
The Fabulous 413 podcast is funded by the UMass 5 College Credit Union, dedicated to creating access to financial well-being for local people, businesses, and communities. Insured by NCUA, umass5.coop.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, we're governing with McGovern. Well, the courts handed the Democrats a couple of victories this week in Alabama and South Carolina when it comes to redistricting and gerrymandering. But the Trump administration is sort of taking another victory lap this week because of what you mentioned sort of obliquely with what went on in Texas, where the longtime Texas Senator John Cornyn was defeated in a primary because he was not loyal enough to Donald Trump, even though, according to Heather Cox Richardson, he voted with Donald Trump 99.2% of the time. Do you think this portends bad things with the Trump influence on the midterm elections for Democrats, or is this actually a good thing because maybe only very dyed-in-the-wool Trumpian Republicans are supporting these Trumpian candidates, but the general public will not respond to them as well?
Well, I mean, I'm hopeful, but I'm also, cognizant of the fact that this administration has been very good at changing the subject so that people are not thinking about, the cost of living or about the wars that we're engaged with, that they're focused, they bring forward these culture wars that tend to distract people from all this other stuff. I mean, we can't underestimate them. And then the redistricting stuff, again, they're doing that for a reason. They're doing that because they know they're unpopular. And yes, we had a victory in Alabama. They're going to probably bring it to the Supreme Court. God only knows what they're going to do. But I fully expect that this president is going to do some crazy things between now and Election Day. He may declare a national state of emergency. He may deploy troops to our polling places. He may threaten to put ICE, in front of our polling places. There's nothing you can rule out that's bad that he won't do. So we just have to we have to understand that he's not playing by the old rules. He's playing by a different set of rules, and we have to respond accordingly. So we have to prepare locally, and we have to prepare for the worst. But again, I find this guy Paxton particularly appalling. He was impeached by a Republican state legislature.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the guy who they pick. They couldn't find anybody else, and they reject Cornyn because he voted 99.9% of the time with the president, but that 0.1% time he didn't. That makes it that he's not acceptable to them. This is a scary time. This is what happens in fascist countries. It's total loyalty, no dissent, and not even a hint that you might be reasonable on anything. So this is a particularly urgent time for people to be engaged and to understand that we can't change things unless we win. We have to win.
Speaking with U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, this issue will impact us a little more locally in how agricultural we are in the 413, but the House Agricultural Chairman G.T. Thompson is saying he wants to make it easier for employers to hire foreign agriculture workers. It's an H-2A visa. I know many of our farmers have relied on this in the past. They're saying the bill aims to ensure farmers have access to legal and reliable workforce. What's your take on what is being proposed here? Is it a good thing for our farmers in Western Massachusetts, or what do you know about this?
Yeah, but again, I haven't seen his proposal, and I doubt very much that it will go over well with the White House. So, we'll see what happens. G.T. Thompson, by the way, is responsible for running a horrific farm bill that narrowly passed the House that not only does nothing for our small and medium-sized farms, but also institutionalizes the $200 billion in cuts to SNAP. He's also a guy who has voted regularly to screw over immigrants at every single level. And I'm talking about legal immigrants, people who are coming here legally. So I don't trust very much of what he says, and he's not particularly effective, but we'll see what happens. But we need to do what works for our farmers, and that even includes, with an immigrant workforce. Whatever it takes for them to be able to be successful and be productive, we have to be wind at their back.
You were at the top of Mount Sugarloaf this week announcing that you'd secured some funding for the Mass Department of Conservation and Recreation to preserve 260 acres of land in Deerfield. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, it was great. We were on top of Mount Sugarloaf. I was with Joe Comerford and Nicole LaChapelle, who now is the head of DCR, and I talked about some of the accomplishments that we have made in terms of land preservation, things like the Land and Water Conservation Fund, among other things. And I announced the introduction of a new bill, the Connecticut River Watershed Partnership Act, which, if passed, would provide even more money for the preservation of land that we could keep as open space and as natural or as farmland forever, so it doesn't succumb to development. And the Rogers family, which was part of a partnership that allowed some of this land to be put into this special trust, was present as well, and we are grateful to them. But look, one of the great and unique things about Western Massachusetts is there's a lot of open space land that has been protected forever. And some of that is being used as farmland, and some of that is being used for walking trails. But understand that if it's not protected, and that it requires federal and state funds to be put forward, if it's not protected, then it can, be developed into anything, an amusement park, a casino, whatever. And we want to protect we want to protect the character of the region. And so it was really beautiful to be on Mount Sugarloaf and to look at the beautiful scenery, the panorama that we were able to witness. And I said, it's just great to be here and celebrate something beautiful. I mean, the preservation of all this incredible land at a time when there's so much ugliness happening in Washington and around the world. And this reminds us that there's good stuff that we can do and that we still need to do. And so, again, we're celebrating what federal, state funds have been able to do, but also we're there to promise that we need to do much more. And it's not just about, protecting land for the sake of protecting land. It's also about being good stewards of our environment at a time when we should still be talking about the negative impacts of climate change.
Maybe we should go up Mount Sugarloaf on the Food Bank March, since we walk right by there.
Well, I was thinking about that, but as I drove up to Mount Sugarloaf, I was like, please don't. Please don't.
Yeah.
We can take some binoculars and look up there, but I think you'd probably, like 80% of your marchers that would be the end of the march. So, but it is beautiful, and especially at this time of season.
U.S. Congressman Jim McGovern, what's giving you hope this week?
Well, I mentioned before I was in Grafton last night doing a town hall and in the Grafton Library, and it was packed. And the fact that people showed up on Wednesday night, there's a lot going on right now, and they had a lot on their mind and a lot of not only just concerns but a lot of suggestions. It just tells me that the people haven't given up. The people want to fight back. And again, a lot of the people that showed up last night, I had never seen at a political event before. And some of them told me that this is the first time they've ever been to a town hall for anybody. So again, that gives me hope. I mean, one of the things that I worry about is that there's so much, garbage being thrown at people every day that they feel overwhelmed and they feel powerless, and, they just want to pull the shade and have you wake them up when it's all over. I mean, that's a tactic, a deliberate tactic by this administration and by Republicans. We have to resist that. We have power. People have power. They need to use it. They have no power if they don't use it. And last night, people showing up in strong numbers, in Grafton, tells me that there are a lot of people out there that are ready for this fight.
U.S. Congressman from the 2nd Congressional District of Massachusetts joins us each week. You can send a question to the Congressman for McGoverning with McGovern at thefab413@nepm.org. Thanks so much, Congressman.
All the best. Thanks.
And as if to endorse and encourage the congressman's plea to stand up and take action.
Up next, we head to a neighborhood in East Hampton where the action is community, and the activism is creating a deeply integrated multi-generational connection for seniors, children, and teens in the foster care system, and their families to boot. We hear from the administration and the residents at the Treehouse community next.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM.
Allergies.
I know, my allergies have been horrible these last 2 days.
Oh, no.
I sneezed like 100 times in the movie theater last night. I thought everybody was going to kick me out.
It's so bad this year, and it came late. Apologies for my sneezing in advance.
May is Foster Care Awareness Month in the US of A, and there is an incredible, innovative way of looking at foster care that exists right here in the 413 in East Hampton, and it is called the Treehouse Foundation, not to be confused with the giant
beer
brewery.
place in Deerfield.
But I'm calling you out, Treehouse Brewery, because right when you moved into town, I said, you know there's a Treehouse Foundation in East Hampton. You should come up with a benefit beer for them. Crickets.
Yeah, well, but I should not say anything else.
We'll leave it at that. But we are here at the Treehouse community in East Hampton. It's a gorgeous day with a beautiful view of Mount Tom, a beautiful gazebo and playground here. And we want to meet some of the folks that are part of this community. What's your name?
Erica Kuster. I am Chief Executive Officer here at Treehouse.
Susan Jubinville, and I'm one of the elders here.
Lynn Muth, and I'm one of the elders.
Sue Brow, and I am a parent of a child, and I am one of the seniors.
So 2 Sues. That'll make it easy, right?
Susie and Sue. So she's a Susie.
And you're a Sue. Okay. And I'm a boy named Sue, which is one style of parenting.
So I give you that name and I said goodbye. I knew you'd have to get tough or die.
But the style of parenting and innovative ways that foster care manifests itself at Treehouse is what's really exciting. If people have never heard of what you do here, tell us what makes it innovative, Erica.
We are an intergenerational community. Folks live here. It's affordable housing, and we provide supportive services, but really it's about community supporting community. So we have older adults living alongside caregivers and their kids. It's pretty fantastic.
I mean, I'm somebody who is in my late 40s and have grown children, one of whom is with me right now.
This child is not grown.
Well, he's 12, but then I got 2 college-age kids, and then, you know, there's a child-shaped hole in my heart that I can see that is starting to form. So the idea that there might be some place when I was a senior that I could go and live and still be surrounded by that youthful energy is what's really inspirational to me. What brought you to this community? Susie.
Susie. Well, I had heard about it and read about it. I had a partner that back then, and we came and had a tour, and when we sold our condo, we lucked out because there were 5 vacancies. So we got in right away, and it's wonderful. It's what they call, I guess, old age housing, but we each have a washer and dryer in our unit.
That's good.
And that is probably the best.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It is the best.
It's what college students don't have.
Well, I can't imagine anybody who built 4 or 5-story old age housing. I come from Holyoke. There's some there. I don't understand why they think an elder would want to go all the way to the basement to wash. And the view's beautiful.
Yeah.
We have a nice porch. We have a nice patio in the back.
And we're at sort of the community center of the whole area.
Yeah, and we have a beautiful view of Mount Tom Range.
Tell us about your interaction with the younger folks here.
When I first came here, there were more children, and I used to come over and help with homework, with games, and now there's some teenagers that I talk to and
Deal with as a parent, I understand.
They're good kids.
Yes.
They're good kids.
But they are still teenagers. So there's the teenage
And
thing.
females.
Yeah.
Saturday was our community garden cleanup day, and the children helped us. There were 4 kids there painting the numbers on the boxes, and a couple of the boys were, oh my gosh, we couldn't have done it without them, and it was just so fun to work with the kids. And I just relocated here from California. My daughter lives a mile south of here, and it was just been like a Californian. I would say I manifested this little paradise here in the valley. It's really wonderful. Yeah, I'm a retired teacher of 30 years, and I didn't want to be shelved in a senior facility just to rot away. I have too much energy not to share it with somebody, and this is an incredible community, and it is indeed a community, and it's very rare these days.
Sue, as a parent, what's it been like living here in this multi-generational community as a parent?
Well,
And are you a foster parent?
I was a foster parent for many, many foster kids. I adopted 1, and I have 3 biological kids. So I've got 1 in the 40s, I've got twins in their 30s, and my youngest one is 20. and he lives here with me. And what brought me here, I was on the wait list for about 7 or 8 years. It seemed like every time I put the application in, I moved and didn't put a forwarding address. And so I finally got a phone call from here, and they said, "Is your last name Brow, like B-R-O-W?" And I said, "Yeah." And she said, "I remember sending something out and you never got back to us." I said, "Yeah, I moved." So I finally got in about 8 years ago. I was looking for support for myself as a single parent raising a child who is on the autism spectrum and who had trauma in early years. I was looking for some support.
Erica, who is the CEO of Treehouse Foundation here in East Hampton, tell us the breakdown, like demographically. How many people are here who are senior living? How many kids are here in foster care? That kind of thing.
We have about 110 folks living here. So there's 60 homes. 80% of those, 48, are for older adults. And then we have 12 family homes that have 3, 4, and 5 bedrooms to accommodate both biological kids and foster kids.
So about how many foster kids are here?
Currently, we got about between 25 and 30, and we are working to engage even more families at this point. We have a few family homes that have parents whose kids have launched, and we are hoping to bring more families in soon.
Where did this model come from? It's not the first multi-generational planned housing that I've heard of, but specifically like gearing programming towards like seniors and foster kids is pretty unique.
Yeah, so our founder, Judy Cockerton, was fostering kids herself and was looking for models that would offer more support to really build that village around families. And she stumbled across Hope Meadows in Rantoul, Illinois, which is another intergenerational community that supports parents fostering kids. And she launched the Treehouse model. There's another community out in Oregon called Bridge Meadows that's similar, but really we're the 3 that exist in this country that offer intergenerational support to foster kids.
And the model that Treehouse has developed is expanding outside of just East Hampton, right? Can you talk about that?
Indeed, we are. We are well underway to launch a community in Mattapan in Boston, and we have MOUs in place to launch a community in Framingham and another in Worcester, and we're looking for site number 5 in Massachusetts. Our goal is to get to 5 communities in Massachusetts by 2031.
Why? Why is it important to expand to that level?
We want to expand the impact we have for kids, older adults, and caregivers. And the way to do that is not to expand our communities, because our communities are dependent on the relationships that exist. And if a community gets too big, it's hard to have that pervasive connection of relationships. So we expand impact by launching new communities in new cities.
And do you anticipate that those communities would somehow interact, or would they kind of be standing alone?
They will definitely interact. There will be best practice sharing, community building that exists across communities, but I expect each one will have its own local character, because what works in East Hampton is likely very different from what works in Mattapan.
Yep.
Yes, very.
Yeah.
What surprises have come up becoming a part of the community here at Treehouse? I know I've said this broadly, but I do want all 3 answers from the people who live here.
It's very, very safe here. It's very quiet. It's very supportive. You really feel, a smoke alarm will go off, and they're so sensitive. Oh my goodness, even this, you open your door after you've showered and it sets them off. But you learn that you listened for it. And if it goes off in a little bit, then it's like, oh, okay, they, overheated a pan or they had a shower. But if it continues to go on, then you'll find a cluster of neighbors wondering what's going on and knocking on doors. And a couple of times there's been a pot left on a stove, and we've had to call 911, and the mother will come in like, oh my gosh, thank you so much, thank you so much. So yeah, it's a real community. We look out for each other while at the same time honoring each one's privacy and individuality. And I think that's really, really important. And it really helps to build that community.
Are there things that have surprised you about the community at Treehouse here in East Hampton, or that have delighted you maybe?
Yeah, I moved here for support because I was alone with just this one kid, and I ended up not getting so much support for him. He's on the spectrum. He doesn't want anything to do with anybody, but I made friends.
Yeah.
So I'm the youngest of the seniors. Though I could get a senior apartment if I wanted one. I look forward to moving into one eventually. But I've made friends with so many people, and then I feel needed here as well. Like there are fire alarms. There were 3 fire alarms going off, and I had a group of people here, and so I run over and I'm checking it out and calling the fire department. Someone just moved up in the circle that I live in, and her fire alarm went off, and it was dark, and I'm running over to her house. So yeah, I'm kind of the fire alarm person. If it's going off, just give me a buzz. Yeah.
Editor's note, there's more than fire alarms that happen at the Treehouse community in East Hampton. It is a very safe community.
Very safe.
Very well alarmed when it comes to fires.
Better safe than sorry.
Absolutely.
Especially when fire is concerned.
That is what those alarms are there for. What about you, Susie?
Well, I feel like it was more like when I was young growing up. You know, you're not a senior and you're isolated and you're only with old people, even though I'm old. But
ain't nothing wrong with that.
Because
it beats the alternative sometimes.
I mean, it's nice to hear the kids laughing. Or we have a school behind us, and we'll hear them at games and stuff. It's just a wonderful environment. And like I said, I was lucky to get in here so fast. I've heard of people waiting 3 and 4 years to get in here.
Have you bonded with individual kids who live here and created like special relationships with any of those folks? And I don't want to divulge too much. The privacy is an important part of what goes on in the foster system too. But talk a little bit about the feeling of building those relationships as a senior with a community where kids are being fostered in the same village in which you live.
Yeah. Well, I think...
Telephone.
We'll have this little dance interlude here. It's one of the many perks. That was actually another fire alarm. No, just kidding.
I feel it being around children, it keeps me younger, my thoughts. I'm just not an old stogie sitting waiting to die, you know. You know, 2 of the girls who are young teens come and take my trash every week. It's just nice. It keeps you young at heart, I guess, being around them.
I'm recalling a relatively new family that's moved in, and they used to live in Holyoke in a not so good neighborhood, and now the kids are out playing and they don't worry about them. And I hear it, like Susie said, we can hear the kids laughing and the basketball bouncing and the kids riding their bikes around. And the parents know that if your kids are out in this neighborhood, that there's a bunch of old people looking out for them. Yeah. And I think that, again, it's just that community that, you know, you'll hear a kid laugh and you're like, oh, that's so-and-so. And, you know, they were out playing in the rain the other day and I wanted to go out and join them, but I probably shouldn't.
This may not apply to anyone here because I'm not sure. I can't remember how long this particular development has been here. But for the kids who have aged out, what is their connection to this community after they've left and maybe either their parents stay or they move? Like, what is Treehouse's ongoing relationship with the kids as they grow out of the system?
Funny you ask how long we've been here. We are actually about to launch 20th anniversary celebrations in June. Yep, it's really exciting. Yep, 20 years. It's pretty fantastic. But our relationship with kids who've moved on, it really varies based on what those kids want. Some kids reaching adulthood want a little bit of separation and distance. Others come back frequently. So it really is up to those youth what relationship they want to have with Treehouse moving forward. But we're really excited to be inviting all of them back in for 20th anniversary celebrations. It'd be really cool to see where they all are.
More coming up with Sue, Susie, Lynn, and Erica at the Treehouse Foundation's Community Center in East Hampton as we hear more about the families that are called to foster care, the neighborhood's upcoming 20th anniversary celebrations, and some of the many clubs, groups, and activities that have grown in Treehouse Foundation through the years.
You're listening to the Fabulous 413 on 88.5 NEPM. Why Treehouse? Why the name Treehouse? Where did that name come from?
It's our founder came up with the name. It's playful. It evokes joyful youth, and that's really what we're going for here for older adults, for kids, and for caregivers. So we want folks to have a sense of joy and fun.
Who knew that a slightly pretentious beer company would come for your name?
Yeah, you guys have been around longer than them.
Slightly pretentious.
I'm being kind.
Erica Kuster. I am Chief Executive Officer here at Treehouse.
Susan Jubinville, and I'm one of the elders here.
Lynn Muth, and I'm one of the elders.
Sue Brow, and I am a parent of a child, and I am one of the seniors.
I'm sure that you interact with the foster care system as the CEO of Treehouse. Have there been improvements in the time that you've worked with Treehouse? Has the foster care system in Massachusetts learned anything that they've incorporated outside of Treehouse into the foster system? Because it's a tricky system, especially when people age out, because there's not always a glide path when you turn 18 for what you're going to do next. And when you're 18, you're not necessarily really ready to be on your own.
Yeah, that is a good and huge question. I think one of the developments that I've seen and others have seen with DCF in this 20-year history is a real move towards supporting permanency for kids. So whether that's reunification with their family of origin or adoption with a foster family, there's a real emphasis on not just getting kids into placements, but finding what will help them stick in placements, which gives them an opportunity to heal from trauma and develop healthy attachments and really become healthy, resilient adults.
How are you finding the kids from the foster care system that end up here at the Treehouse community? Is there a process? But the elders that live here weigh in on that process?
For the most part, caregivers who are moving into the community are already fostering kids. So every once in a while we'll have a future caregiver move in who's completed the MAP training through DCF with a real commitment to foster. But for the most part, we're looking for families that are already, that have kids placed with them.
Have you seen people move in who weren't foster parents become foster parents while being a part of Treehouse, like get engaged with the community that's here and then decide to pick up the mantle themselves?
So mostly the parents that are moving in are already committed to fostering, but we have had a couple parents move in before they've had kids placed with them who have gotten involved in the work, helped shape programming before they had that placement. And then when they had a child welcomed into their home, they were basically ready to hit the ground running.
You helped to raise kids here. Can you tell a little bit about their experience from your perspective as a parent?
Yeah.
What it was like having grown up here at the Treehouse Foundation in East
I
Hampton?
didn't grow up here. So the three older kids were already grown by the time I came here with my son, but they come back. I've got grandkids. And so my kids have brought their children here for events that we've had here. My son has been here with my grandson playing the piano in there, and we have little gatherings here for birthday parties and baby showers. But they love it here.
Yeah.
All four of my kids really love Treehouse.
This is a very selfish question, but is the Rainbow Cafe ever coming back?
You mean the Tree Cat Cafe?
The Tree Cat Cafe.
What was the Tree Cat Cafe?
That was a program run by a couple of our community members, one of our longest standing community members, with kids serving food, preparing food, taking money from customers who were there to eat food. We are thinking about bringing it back as part of the 20th anniversary celebration, so that we can engage not only with our community but our broader network of supporters, because that was super popular. Yeah.
And there was like music and like entertainment too. It was really so cool. Always looked like a really good time.
Yeah, I've been to a couple of them before things shut down. Yeah.
And was it COVID that shut that down, or?
COVID paused it,
Yeah.
and then just the age of folks involved having a harder time lifting it off the ground. But there's a lot of interest, like I said, in renewing it.
Yeah.
So
Apart from trying to expand into the 5 different Massachusetts locations, what do you envision for the mission of Treehouse as we're winding down in National Foster Care Awareness Month here in the month of May? What do you envision the mission of Treehouse will be going forward?
I think our work is to continue to support permanency for families. One thing that we're really looking deeply at is how we can support not just caregivers who are parenting kids who've experienced foster care, but how we can offer support to reunified families. Because if we can reunify families, that is a paramount goal. So we want to figure out what our role in that process looks like, because permanence is not just legal permanency like adoption, it's also cultural, relational, familial. We want to be sure we're supporting permanence in all of its forms.
For the 3 elders that are with us, or one almost elder, what's
Baby elder.
Yeah.
She's a kid.
She's a kid compared to you guys.
Elder in training.
What's your favorite part of the week in the life cycle of the Treehouse Foundation where you live?
Well, I think we have meals
I was just
where
gonna say
we'll cook.
Wednesdays.
Yeah, Wednesday meals.
Wednesdays, we all cook.
And get together with a big community meal?
Yeah.
What did you make for the community meal the last time?
What did I make? Fish with asparagus
Oh,
and
nice. Perfect. It's very seasonal.
And I made a vegetarian, what did I make? Vegetarian black lentil taco mix.
Nice.
Nice.
Yeah, I didn't make anything because I have a kid.
Good
so
for you. Let the elders do it.
The old ladies do
I
it.
used to cook a lot. When we first started, I used to cook all the time.
That's
Yeah,
great.
some of us cook, and then some of us set up, and then break down, and
Do dishes.
do dishes, and
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
of that. Yeah, it's definitely, and I think that's a fun thing. But I'm also enjoying. I mean, we have a book club that meets the last Tuesday of the month, and that's always a fun thing. And we'll have an end of the school barbecue out here, which the kids will be running crazy and
Yeah.
probably water balloons or whatever, and face painting, and and it's noisy and fun, and then I'll go home and it'll be nice and quiet, and I can listen to Led Zeppelin and.
Quietly listening to Led Zeppelin. I love that sentence so much.
Me too. That made me feel old. The seniors in my brain don't even know what Led Zeppelin is. But time marches on.
That's unfortunate. That's
Yeah.
very unfortunate.
You do have a shock of green in your hair, I will say, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Little heavy metal punk rock soul.
Right? We're
Yeah.
for it. The punk rock grandmas. But like that kind of answers my other question, because I was going to ask what other organizations pop up in this community. Like, we know about Truth Tellers because we've talked with them before about some of their productions.
Yeah,
And
that was at De La Luz in Holyoke last year.
yeah, and keeps
Coming
it's
up
ongoing.
Thursday. It's coming up today.
Is it lit this evening or?
It is this evening in the
so you-
spring in Holyoke.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
De La Luz.
Yes.
Perfect. So nice. We can get a little preview of that coming up later after the show.
Indeed. But clearly there's like other organizations that pop up like that, like your book club and like Truth Tellers and like the cafe that just like kind of organically pop up here that really reinforce that community aspect.
Yeah, we have a singing group here that I sing with. Yeah. We do a lot of
do
harmony.
Led Zeppelin?
We don't do Led Zeppelin.
You could.
We absolutely could. We could have an open mic and do some Led Zeppelin.
Yeah, and once every Monday we have what's called a volunteer support group, and that's for anyone who's interested, and it's usually some of the elders, and any questions you might have working with your kid or anything that you need to talk about that's where that's welcome. I don't know, this week is crazy for me. I have something every morning and every evening, and so it's just crazy.
Good they keep you busy.
It's too busy. Sometimes I go, goodbye, I'm gone.
Yeah.
I lock my door and don't even ring my doorbell.
Treehouse Foundation, too busy for senior living and too many fire alarms.
And I
No,
don't.
it's all good.
I don't want to correct you, but Treehouse Foundation is the business end of it, and we are the community here. We're the Treehouse community here.
Right, nice.
And it's a giant family, is what
Hand
it
in
is.
hand, for
yeah,
sure. Hand in hand, the community and the foundation, for sure.
Yes. Well, the Pride Parade
Right.
is all the whole circle.
Pride started when Northampton Pride it wasn't gathering because of COVID.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, we've got to have something here. We've got to represent our people here. So we started a Pride March here. And then we got more flags and more flags. We've got hundreds, I think, of flags at this point. And then we just march around the circle with music blaring, and then we gather here.
How does this community fit into the greater East Hampton community?
That's a great question. We could not do this without pulling in supports that exist in the broader community. We work with the school, we work with the Council on Aging, we work with really anybody who relates to the kind of work we're doing here. There's no need to reinvent awesome programs that exist elsewhere. We try to pull them in and make sure that our community members are able to easily access those programs. So we're constantly working to deepen those relationships across East Hampton and Western Mass.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with us and show us the beauty of this community, which, like I said, is inspirational to me. It's definitely like, as I get older, my list has Young at Heart Chorus, Treehouse Community, like all on my to-do list.
Like, and as like a part of a couple that is considering possibly adopting later on, because I'm not interested in having kids of my own. It's really inspiring to see communities like this pop up and really like reinforce support for everybody involved in that relationship, both parents and kids.
It is. Yeah. It is.
Well, thanks again, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Maybe you can come back when we've had having our big celebrations for our 20th year.
I think so. Sounds like a good plan. We'll come with a Led Zeppelin cover band.
Which one? Can it be Led Zeppelin?
Led
They're
Zeppelin?
the
I love that
best.
one. I do love Led Zeppelin. Yeah. This is Led Zeppelin, by the way.
They're awesome.
They are awesome.
Go see them live.
And so is Treehouse Foundation, and so is their Truth Tellers Theater Ensemble. This year's incarnation is Honesty Even When It's Hard, and they do have a performance this evening, 6:30 at the Divine Theater at De La Luz on Ray Street in Holyoke for family and friends. Honesty Even When It's Hard, to support the Treehouse Foundation and the great work they do with the foster community.
Yeah, and you can go back through our archives to hear our previous conversation with them and the partnership that built the Truth Tellers, company.
Yeah, it's
Shall
a
we-
storytelling
company?
theater experience
Yes,
for sure.
it's wicked cool.
It is. Tomorrow on the show, Live Music Friday, sort of, as Khalees has eavesdropped on the Glad Machines,
I had to crash their rehearsal space.
and they are playing a show at the Drake in Amherst this
Full
weekend.
disclosure, I do have keys to their rehearsal space.
Well, there you go. And this is the Glad Machine that you're listening to right now.
They're performing at the Drake this weekend, along with Eddie Japan and the Fawns, other friends of the show, and they'll be our guests for Live Music Friday.
We also have a chat with the Massachusetts Secretary of Housing and Livable Communities, Wannabe Matthias. If you have a question about housing or livable communities that you'd like us to ask the Secretary, send it to us at thefab413@nepm.org, and we'll ask the Secretary, and you can hear her on the show tomorrow.
And I will try really hard not to just pepper her with the questions that arose after the giant 175-page report that Wayfinders helped do with UMass this past fall.
There's a lot of good information there, and we will ask some things from that for sure.
Indeed.
I'm Monty Belmonte.
I'm Khalees Smith. We will talk to you tomorrow on the Fabulous 413.